Hello, welcome to another tonalist landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy. And the painting I'm bringing you today is called Lone Tree. It's a 5x7, and I painted this, oh my goodness, back in July. It's been in the archives just waiting for you. It's a nice little painting. I think you'll enjoy seeing me put it together. I did want to have a big one for you. I've got half of one of the larger ones done, but making some big changes in my studio, my main studio, to accommodate the larger paintings. So stay tuned for another good size one next week, and that'll be awesome. The mission on this one was to, well, first of all, you'll see there's the background is kind of pushed way back, and I actually, a lot of times I would do that with what's called a scumble, which is when you take kind of a bit of opaque paint but thin it with oil so it's semi-transparent, and you kind of rub that over something that's been painted. A lot of times it's very handy for pushing things back, giving you that atmospheric haze effect. In this case, I just painted it in with that sort of color in mind, or coloration in mind, or feeling. And I think that turned out real well. This was I painted this tree before. I painted this tree some like 10, 11 years ago. It was one of the first paintings I sold, was a painting of this tree out here in lovely New Zealand. It looks kind of like an oak. I may have even called it lone oak. I didn't know at the time. But it's actually what's called a totra. But at certain points in their the development, the totra look very much like oaks. They're indistinguishable. I think one main difference is that the oaks, of course, drop leaves in the fall, and the totra does not. Yeah, it's a evergreen type tree. The other mission on this was kind of playing the greens and golds off of the darks. One thing I wanted to do in here is, you see, we're doing a drawing right now. Gosh, it looks to me like it's perylene, black with ultramarine, leaning pretty heavy onto the perylene side. Which is nice. It's good. I like to do an underdrawing. Basically, in fact, I had a student asking me about that this week, and she's like, "Well, do you change things?" Da 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 da. Because she was looking at one of my underpaintings, and or I call them drawings as well. And I'm saying, no, that's the whole point of doing the underpainting stage. Get all your ducks in order. Get your composition nailed down. Even a basic sort of outline of your value structure, lights, darks, mediums. You can actually, with the paint and the oil, you can usually eke out 4 values. Not always, though. Sometimes it's more like 3. But that's okay, because one of the things about landscape painting, and one of the things I want to talk to you about today, is that you really only perceive about 4 or 5 real values, differences in the landscape. Yes, we know there's, you could do 250 different gradations of a value. In fact, if you convert your image to grayscale in Photoshop or another program, that's what it does. It basically breaks it into 450 different steps, from black, 100% black, to 100% white. But perceptually, I think it's very important to kind of know where your darkest darks are, your lightest lights, and your strongest color. Although we're really talking more about value, I think value is more important. Your lightest, a lot of times, a really good trick is to plunk one of your lightest value areas against your darkest, and that's built in. That's going to be built in, like, focus of attention there. So, and it's pretty important in your paintings. That you don't have multiple points of attention, because, especially say you're working with a photo reference, a lot of times the entire scene will be in focus across the whole picture plane. as a painter, you really can't just pass that along. You need to decide where it is you want to direct the eye. So I would say in this painting, it's where that dark trunk is up against the lighter colored grass, and the grass, that light strip will be fairly bright. One of the things I want to talk about, I kind of, in this painting, I wanted to connect, since it's just a lone tree, it would have been just sitting there in the field. This is a great trick, and you can feel free to employ it yourself. I just kind of drew a line and made the whole bottom from the tree down dark. Who knows what was going on? It could have been a cloud passing overhead, or some feature of the landscape that made it that way. In my case, it's because I, as the artist and creator of the painting, wanted it that way. That's how I made it. But this is a technique that I started employing, doing a lot of revisions, where I wanted to tie things together that didn't feel, and very handy, and I think it was very effective here. I also installed that little sort of stream / path, just to get us out of everything, just to give us a little depth, a little inroads into the painting. We're gonna pick this up in one sec. We're gonna have a little ad for the book coming up. I had some orders for the books lately, and it's been really great to ship it all over the world. I really appreciate the support, and I worked very hard on the book over the whole COVID thing. So, I'm happy to ship it to you anywhere you are in the world, if the international shipping is included. It costs us $60 US, and I'll get it to you. You'll enjoy it. It's one place where you can find, I may be dropping tips and knowledge all over the place here in the videos, but it's a bit hard to reference and source, where that's a book, of course, makes that very easy to do. Yeah. Anyway, just talking about tying this together. Now, one of the challenges in this tree was dark areas of contrast, a lot of sky holes. I just kept, you'll see, I'm going to end up eliminating some of these. I couldn't eliminate all of them, or I wouldn't have that feeling of air coming through. That's always one of the big challenges, I think, with trees, especially say it's just a solo tree in a landscape, is the quantity and variety of sky holes. I weigh in on the side of less is more. Otherwise, and definitely, I believe, no matter how many sky holes you do, I think it's good to have that sky bit kind of painted in underneath. You can do little bits of this and that over the top, but it really looks better to me if you just set it underneath. Now, so here I am working on the back there, and one of the things that makes things look more distant, like if you were right on top of those distant trees and things and hills, it would have been as dark as the tree looks in the foreground there. But you can't paint like that, and a lot of times your photos will lie to you. They'll show things, well, it's not so much that they lie to you, but it'll show things in the distance that's quite dark, and you'll think, oh, it's just fine to paint it like that. But if there are elements in the distance or middle distance that seem dark, you're always going to want to make those lighter. So what I did was I kind of mixed my darkest distant color. It's kind of a more grayed version of what's in the front, and that stood me in pretty good stead. So I established that, and then I went from that off to everything else. Now, usually the lightest color in any scene will be up in the sky. Not looking at the final image here. I could actually bring it up when it's on my desktop. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty light, that grass I put in, and it's got a bit of saturation. I didn't want to go too far with it, but I love to do that. I love to push a bright bit of grass up against a dark tree, or a lot of times it's a dark, lightest bit of the sky up against a dark part of the tree. Yeah, obviously here we're going to be having a focus of attention on that, where the trunk meets the grass, and then you'll go up. Now, another thing I want to point out, and I know this intuitively, but someone spelled it out in a video I was watching recently. Your entrance into the scene is almost always, I mean, in 90% of cases, is coming in from the lower left. It's just, I don't know if it's like that for people say in the Asian countries, where I think they read from right to left. We read from left to right. So possibly that may not be true everywhere in the world, but certainly in the West here, that's operative. So that's one of the reasons I like a little stream or a path. In this case, I think the stream is not pointing at the tree, but we come up hit the stream, and then we can't help but see that dark shadow under the tree contrasting itself. We follow the tree up, we move through the sky, we check out the hills and things in the back, and then we're back to the little path slash pond. Now this is such a small painting, I don't think I worried myself too greatly if whether it was a stream or a path. All that because I wasn't in the reference, I just installed it. And you should definitely, in your own work, if you can do that, it really would be good. If you like, just take your finger and cover that up, and you see that I don't think it would have been as strong a painting with just nothing but plain grass there. Now, I've been proven wrong by people like George Ness. It certainly can be made to work, but it's a contrivance, and it's one I think is a beneficial one, you know. Let me see, anything else I'm thinking about here? Oh yeah, the thing with this is I wanted the reds and the greens. I kept going back and forth. Also, I was really deep into some kind of Van Gogh mode at this point, but it was kind of fighting it at the same time. And I believe that's why I didn't put this painting up at the time. I've had a while to live with the painting now, and I really like it. So today when I was thinking, I didn't manage to finish my painting this week that I would put up on the old YouTube, I thought, well, that's okay, because I've got some, in reserve for just this sort of occurrence. And this painting has won me over, and I hope you like it too. It's a nice little painting. And very representative of the kind of landscape we get out here. We have a lot of rolling hills and things like that. I may have gone a bit further with pushing that into the back, but that was something I wanted to do in the past when I think I painted the scene. I had that a lot stronger, and I was thinking, no, I really want it so very clear that it's way back there, you know. Now, if you do paint something too strong, remember that concept that I mentioned at the beginning of the video called scumbling. You can let it dry. I highly recommend letting it dry and maybe coating the painting with some liquid or something, because if you don't coat it with liquid and you put paint over the top, it's going to be very difficult for you to just wipe it off if things go wrong. But if you have a bit of a coating of liquid, you can play around with things like glazes and scumbles. And if it is, and trust me, I've gotten carried away with the glazing and says, whoa, and I just get a little mineral spirits and I wipe the whole thing back. So before we go, check out that video. I did sort of a video just before this one about oil paint cleanup. I just want to make it clear to people it's not a big deal. You know, I think people think it's a big deal to the degree that the art supplies industry has created this water mixable, water soluble oil paint. I don't think it's water mixable. I don't know. I mean, you can actually use it just like regular oil paint. I know that, and it works fine, you know. But you're going to be paying more. You'll be paying a premium for something that's essentially not a big deal. You just need a few little things. So check out that video if you're curious about that. Anyway, until I come back with another video hopefully for your edification and enjoyment, do me a favor, do me a solid. Take good care of yourself, your family, all your loved ones. Stay out of trouble, and God bless you and your family.